Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, picture this. Wandering through those, bustling Bangkok markets, maybe finding the perfect pad see ew,
Oh,
or
yeah.
just staring up at the Grand Palace. It's
Yeah,
amazing, right?
totally.
But before you get lost in all that magic, there's that little hurdle, the
Yeah.
visa stuff. And for a lot of people, it can feel, well, our source material says like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded.
And that's exactly why we're diving into this. We've got this guide focused specifically on Bangkok visa requirements, and basically our mission today is to unpack it. We
Rough.
want to help you understand the key steps, the different options, and, what you absolutely need to know so you can ditch that blindfold and plan your trip feeling confident.
Exactly, because sorting this out before you go means way less stress when you land.
Oh,
So let's just jump right in. The absolute must-knows, the foundation. What's the number one most critical thing this guide hammers home?
okay. Number one, non-negotiable bedrock advice from this source is you must always check the absolute latest visa requirements. And do it with the official Thai embassy or consulate in your home country
Before anything else.
before you do anything else. Seriously, visa rules, they change. They can change quite often, actually. And just relying on some old forum post or, outdated info you found somewhere, that's asking for trouble.
Okay, so step one isn't even filling out a form. It's finding your local embassy's website and seeing what they say right now. That makes sense, but maybe not what people think of first. What else is in this sort of must-know bucket?
Your passport. Definitely
Yeah.
your passport. This guide gives a really strong warning here.
Oh, yeah.
Your passport has to be valid for at least 6 months, and that's 6 months beyond the date you plan to leave Thailand.
Wait, hang on. 6 months after you leave, not just valid while you're there.
Nope, 6 months after you plan to fly out.
Wow. Okay, that's a huge detail.
Yeah.
I bet people miss that all the time. The source really flags that.
Absolutely. It basically says you might not even get on the plane if you don't meet that rule.
Yeah.
Airlines check, immigration checks, it's non-negotiable. So yeah, check that expiry date now.
Noted. 6 months after departure. Okay, so check the rules with the embassy, check the passport expiry. What about getting your documents together? Seems important early on.
Yeah, totally. The source is really clear. Scrambling for documents last minute, that's a recipe for, well, disaster.
Right.
Having everything ready beforehand, the right application forms, photos that meet the specs, your flight tickets showing entry and exit, proof of funds. It just makes the whole thing smoother. Avoids delays, avoids rejection. Preparation is definitely your friend here.
Okay, got it. So the essentials. Verify rules locally, passport valid, 6 months post-trip, gather all the docs early. Makes sense. Now, the guide mentions that the visa you need really depends on why you're going and for how long.
Exactly. It's not a one-size-fits-all deal for Thailand. Your reason for visiting and how long you want to stay. Those are the key things that decide which visa path you need to follow.
All right, let's tackle the big one. Tourism. People going to Bangkok for a holiday. The guide calls the standard tourist visa the golden ticket for leisure. What's the deal with that?
Well, it's pretty much what it says on the tin, It's designed for sightseeing, holidays, exploring, eating,
The fun stuff.
the
yeah.
fun stuff. But, and this is a really important point the source makes, it's not for working.
Ah,
Even if you're doing remote work for your company back home, trying to do that on a tourist visa, that's technically against the rules.
okay, crystal clear. Purely for soaking it all in, not for work calls. And the guide mentions two main types of tourist visas, starting with the single entry one.
Yeah, the single entry tourist visa. It lets you enter Thailand just once. Simple as that.
One time in.
One time in. Typically, you get up to 60 days for your stay once you arrive. Now, you might be able to extend that once you're there, and we can talk about extensions later, but the main idea is one entry. The second you leave Thailand.
It's done.
Yeah, the source says it's kaput, used up. You'd need a whole new visa to come back for tourism.
Kaput. Got it. Good for one decent trip, up to 60 days. But what if your plans are a bit more back and forth? Like using Bangkok as a base to see other places.
Well, that's where the multiple entry tourist visa comes in. If you're planning on popping in and out of Thailand within a certain period, this one gives you a lot more flexibility, saves you getting a new single entry each time.
Okay, so how does that multiple entry works? Is it like unlimited entries?
Not quite unlimited. It lets you enter multiple times, usually within a 6-month window from when the visa is issued. But, and this is important, each stay inside Thailand can still only be up to 60 days long.
Oh, right. So it's not 180 days straight. It's chunks of up to 60 days within that 6-month visa validity.
Exactly. You could stay for, say, 50 days, pop over to Vietnam for a week, come back to Thailand for another 55 days, head to Malaysia. as long as you're within that 6-month visa period and each stay is 60 days or less.
Okay, that makes sense.
It is pricier upfront than the single entry, naturally, but if you know you'll be doing multiple entries, it avoids the hassle and cost of reapplying over and over. The source actually suggests it's perfect for digital nomads or anyone who wants to explore Southeast Asia while having Thailand as a base, because of that flexibility.
Yeah, I can see that. Perfect for that sort of travel style. And the guide is pretty firm that getting this sorted before you leave home is just a good shout, right?
Oh, absolutely. Trying to deal with visa stuff on arrival, it's stressful, it's risky. Having the right visa already stamped in your passport before you even board the plane, that just removes a huge weight,
Oh.
lets you focus on the trip itself. Proactive is definitely the way to go.
Okay, proactive planning. Let's talk about pulling together that kit of documents. We mentioned it's crucial. What does the source actually list as the must-haves?
Right. Number one is the application form itself. Whether it's online or paper, the guide really stresses filling it out completely and accurately.
No mistakes.
Yeah. It warns that even tiny errors or missed boxes are super common reasons for delays or even getting rejected. Maybe keep an extra blank copy just in case.
Good tip. So
Yeah.
be neat, be precise. We talked passport validity, but anything else about the passport itself besides the 6-month thing?
Yeah, you need sufficient blank pages,
Right.
for the stamps.
Oh, right, the entry and exit stamps.
Exactly. Sounds minor, but if your passport's nearly full, that could actually be a problem. So check your expiry date and your page count way before you apply.
Blank pages, check. Validity, double check.
Hmm.
Okay, what about proving you can afford the trip? The financial proof.
That's the proof of financial stability. Yeah, Thai authorities want to see you can support yourself while you're there. The guide mentions some ballpark figures, around 10,000 THB per person or 20,000 THB per family. That's for tourist visas, generally.
Okay, 10,000 bad. That's what, a few hundred US dollars per person, give or take? It's not crazy high, but you have to show you have it.
Correct. And the source lists the usual ways. Recent bank statements are common. Make sure your name and details are clear. Credit card statements sometimes work, maybe traveler's checks, though they're less common now.
When they say recent bank statements, does that mean like last month's or...
The source just says recent. Honestly, this is another one of those things where you really need to check with your specific local Thai embassy. They might have a precise rule, like within the last 30 days or something.
Oh, okay.
The main thing is showing you currently have access to those funds.
It really keeps coming back to that first point, doesn't it? Check with your embassy for the nitty-gritty details on things like financial proof.
It absolutely does, because requirements can shift, and getting this wrong is apparently a classic application mistake.
Right. So documents gathered, checked, copied. Now, how do you actually submit the application? The source mentions a couple of ways.
Yeah, these days the online application via the official Thai e-visa portal is becoming more common.
Okay, that sounds easiest, probably.
It definitely can be convenient. You fill everything in online, upload your document scans, pay the fee electronically. If it's approved, you get a confirmation email, which you might need to show when you arrive.
But there's a catch.
The big catch the source points out is it's only available for citizens of some countries. You absolutely have to check if your nationality is on the list for the e-visa system.
Okay, so check eligibility first. Don't waste time filling it out if you can't use it, if e-visa isn't an option, or you just prefer doing things in person.
Then it's the traditional route. Go to your nearest Thai embassy or consulate. First step there is find their contact info and, crucially, check their specific website.
Their own website, not just a general Thai government site.
Yeah, because the source mentions that while the main rules come from Thailand, the actual procedures, maybe the exact documents they want, or even the fees, can sometimes vary slightly from embassy to embassy in different countries.
Huh. So even within the official system, there can be local variations. Good to know.
Exactly. So you gather all your documents based on their specific list, submit everything, pay the fee. And the source notes, yeah, processing times can vary, so you might need a bit of patience.
Is there any upside to applying in person other than, having to...
Well, the guide does mention one potential plus.
Mhm.
You can ask questions directly if something's confusing on the forms or process. Get clarification right there.
Sure.
And a good practical tip from the source: call ahead and see if you need an appointment. It could save you hours waiting in line.
Booking an appointment definitely sounds like a smart move. And just to hammer it home one last time, that first step about the local embassy is still the most important.
Yes. It's worth repeating because it's the absolute best way to sidestep problems. Contacting your local Thai embassy or consulate before you start anything is key. They have the latest, most accurate info for your nationality documents, fees, processing times, whether you can even use the e-visa. Rules change, you know. Official local sources are your best bet.
Okay. So standard tourist visas, application paths, covered. But what about shorter trips? Or people from countries with, like, special deals with Thailand? The source mentions other ways to get in.
Right. For people from certain countries, there's the visa on arrival or VOA.
VOA. How's that different from getting a visa beforehand?
Well, like the name says, you get it when you land at certain airports in Thailand.
Convenient.
Can be. You need to pay a fee, usually in cash, have a passport photo ready, proof you're leaving again soon. But the main limitation the source flags is duration. VOA is usually valid for a much shorter stay than a regular tourist visa you apply for in advance.
Ah, so it's quick, but you don't get long.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The source uses an example, like 15 days for Chinese citizens using VOA. So yeah, handy for a quick trip maybe, but not for a proper holiday.
Okay. And what about the visa exemption program? I hear about that a lot. Like people from loads of countries can just enter visa-free for short stays.
That's right. And for many, it's the simplest way for a quick visit. Citizens from a whole bunch of countries, and again, you have to check if your country is on that list, can enter Thailand just for tourism without needing any visa application beforehand.
And how long do you usually get with that visa exemption?
It varies a bit by nationality, but for many common ones, it's 30 days.
30 days, okay.
You still need your valid passport, remembering that 6 months after departure rule, and usually proof you're leaving within those 30 days. The source calls it a great option for shorter holidays, saves all the visa paperwork.
Yeah, perfect for a classic 2-week beach trip or something. Okay, but let's say you're there. Maybe you came in on the exemption or a single entry visa, and you're loving it. You want to stay longer. Can you extend?
Yes, often you can extend your stay. This usually applies if you came in under visa exemption or on a single entry tourist visa.
And how do you go about doing that? Is it complicated?
You have to apply at an immigration office in Thailand. There's a main one in Bangkok, of course. The most common extension they grant tourists is usually for another 30 days.
Okay.
The source lists what you typically need. Your passport, obviously, a completed application form they give you, a recent passport photo, and the extension fee, which is usually 1,900 Thai baht.
About 50, $60.
Something like that, yeah. And a couple of practical tips from the source. Have copies of your passport info page and your entry stamp handy, and dress respectfully when you go to the immigration office. Smart casual, you know.
Right, good advice. So a 30-day extension is possible, but it means a trip to immigration, forms, fee. Are there limits? Big warnings.
Oh, yeah, definite limits. And the source gives a critical warning here. Extensions are not guaranteed, it's discretionary, and typically you can only extend that kind of tourist permission once.
Just once.
Yeah, you can't just keep getting 30-day extensions one after another. If you need to stay longer than your initial period plus that one extension, you're looking at needing a completely different type of visa. Maybe leaving and coming back on a multiple entry visa if you have one, or getting something like an education visa if you qualify.
So no stringing extensions together. That's crucial.
Absolutely not. And the source is really blunt about overstaying. It is a very serious thing in Thailand.
That happened.
You face daily fines, you could potentially be detained, and really importantly, you can get banned from coming back to Thailand for years. The message is crystal clear. Apply for any extension before your current permission runs out. Do not let that date slip.
Wow. Okay, that's a really serious warning.
Yeah.
You absolutely have to stay on the right side of those dates.
You really do. And, you know, the source makes an interesting observation. Sometimes the rules or how they're applied at immigration can feel like it depends on who you talk to.
Oh.
It's not really saying argue, but it highlights why you need to rely on the official sources, like the Thai immigration website, for the final word, not just what someone heard on a forum.
Yeah, stick to the official line when the stakes are that high.
Yeah.
Okay, so that covers tourism pretty well. But the source briefly mentioned other reasons people go to Bangkok.
Right, like if you're going for business, even just meetings or short work tasks, a tourist visa is not the right one.
So you need a proper business visa.
Almost certainly, yeah. And the source says that usually involves more paperwork letters from your employer back home, maybe an invitation from the Thai company you're dealing with.
So you need to be upfront about the purpose from the start.
Definitely. The source warns pretty strongly, don't risk getting caught out trying to use a tourist visa for business. They take that seriously.
Gotcha. And what about digital nomads? Thailand's popular. Is there a specific visa for them?
According to the source, not really one called a digital nomad visa as such, not yet anyway. It does mention the long-term resident visa, the LTR, as something some remote workers might qualify for.
Might?
Yeah, because the LTR visa has pretty specific, often quite high requirements. Things like minimum income levels or being in certain targeted industries. It's not for everyone.
And even if you do get an LTR visa?
The source reminds you you're still subject to all Thai laws, including rules about residency and potentially taxes, even if your employer is overseas.
Makes sense. Okay, last scenario. Families. If a family travels together, is there like one visa for everyone?
The source is quite clear. Nope, there's no single family visa that covers the whole group just because you're related.
So each person needs their own.
Every single person, mom, dad, kids, needs their own visa application. The type of visa depends on why they're there. If it's a family holiday, then yes, that's likely 4 individual tourist visa applications for a family of 4.
Wow, okay.
The source warns you should brace for a lot of paperwork for family applications. Although it does add, always check if any family members might qualify for that visa exemption for short stays based on their passport. That could simplify things for some of them.
Okay, that's a lot to take in. Covering all those different situations, if someone's feeling a bit, overwhelmed by all this, the source talks about getting professional help.
It does, yeah. And it kind of frames it as something worth considering, especially if your situation is complex or you're looking at a longer stay. Hiring a legal consultant who specializes in Thai immigration, the source says it's like having a personal guide.
A guide through the jungle of rules.
Pretty much. They can give you clarity on tricky rules, tailor advice to your exact situation, help you understand the visa nuances, but maybe the biggest advantage, the source points out,
Yeah.
is helping make sure your application is complete and accurate before you submit it. That massively cuts down the risk of delays or rejection.
So they kind of act as an expert double check.
Spot on. They can review everything, spot issues you might miss, maybe even help liaise sometimes. Plus, they know the common reasons why applications fail. The source lists a few.
Like what? What are the common mistakes?
Things like incomplete application forms, just missing stuff,
Yeah.
not showing sufficient funds, lack of proper documentation, like forgetting a required letter, or even misrepresentation of information, putting something wrong or misleading. Seems basic, but happens.
Yeah, easy mistakes to make if you're not careful. So professional help doesn't guarantee you get the visa, obviously, but sounds like it seriously boosts your chances of a smooth ride and maybe less stress.
Yeah, the source calls it an investment in your peace of mind, especially for anything non-standard.
Okay, wow. We have really covered a lot of ground here. From those absolute basics, checking the embassy, the passport rule through the tourist visas, the documents, how to apply, the VOA and exemption options, extending your stay and the risks, plus business, nomads, families, and getting help. It did feel like that Rubik's Cube blindfolded at the start, but breaking it down piece by piece, it feels more manageable now.
It does, right. I mean, yeah, there are details, lots of them. But the basic idea is logical. Figure out why you're going and for how long. That tells you the visa type. Make sure you meet the basics: passport, documents, and know where to get the right info, your local embassy. Those are the big things.
And if you had to pick just one single piece of advice, the absolute #1 takeaway from this whole deep dive, based on the source.
Okay, let's say it one more time because it really is that important. Always check the latest visa requirements with the Thai embassy or consulate in your home country before you travel. That's step 0, your most reliable source.
Perfect. Couldn't be clearer. So plan ahead, figure out your visa needs based on your trip, get those documents sorted early, and yeah, definitely don't leave it till the last minute. The paperwork might feel like a bit of a drag,
You can do.
but getting it right is basically step 1 for that amazing Bangkok trip.
Exactly. And maybe, a final thought to leave you with is try thinking about this visa stuff a bit differently. It seems like boring admin, right? Checking dates, gathering papers.
Yeah, the necessary evil.
Maybe. Or maybe think of it as clearing the path. By taking care of all these practical details now, meticulously, you're actually ensuring that when you do step off that plane in Bangkok, your mind isn't buzzing with, did I forget something? Or what if? You're free to just dive straight into the sounds, the smells, the energy, the temples, the food, all of it, because you handled the prep. So the preparation isn't just admin, it's kind of the key that unlocks the whole adventure properly. So feel informed, feel prepared, and get excited about Bangkok.